For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. How's it going today? It's 30 minutes of time-wasting fun. I say that every episode, and it's, heavy on opinion. And it's not opinion that's, heavily political or anything like that. It's more just sort of random observation and thoughts about what's going on in the world. So nothing in particular. If somebody were to listen to this show for 3-4 years, nobody would know, well, that's his political leaning. Oh, that's his. You might draw a conclusion, but I've never belonged to a political party. So for me, it's just kind of, it's sharing opinion, and it's just, we all have thoughts about something. And it could just be, something that happened in the mall or so. It's me sharing a story and then offering the platform to you to share your experience or your thoughts on it. And so this week, Greta Thunberg, depending on how you say it. I think people just know her even also as Greta. She's just a one-named wonder at this point, Greta. There's this fascination where people either just idolize her, think that she's great, or don't really care for her. And I'm one of the people that I don't really know enough about her, but I just, I'm sort of, I don't really care to hear somebody just, screaming at the stupid adults, right? So give me a second here before you jump down my throat. I'm going to explain in the next segment, all right? Hear me out on this. And then coming up a little bit later in the show, there's so many buzzwords that people use in an office, right? You might have from the salespeople, or you might have, marketing content. They've got the jargon and the lingo. What words do you think just need to be shelved and say, it's a buzzword. It's just, I'll give you some examples coming up a little bit later, but that's what we're talking about on the show, and it's starting on the Scribble right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Jeremy Bradley back here on The Scribble. Let's talk about Greta Thunberg, or is it Thunberg? Greta. She's the environmentalist, the young gal. Now, this is the problem with today's world, is that I am the adult white man who's going to be commenting on a young woman, and already I've lost credibility with a big chunk of the audience right there, okay? And then because she has, autism, Asperger's, whatever, autism, right? Yeah, okay. So now when I criticize her, now I've 3 strikes against me already. Do you see where I'm going with this? But here's the deal, okay? And remember, my company is called Speak Free Media. Speak free, like your opinion, voice it. I'm not attacking her, because here's the deal. I don't know enough about her to formulate an actual sort of argument and criticism of her, okay? I'm going overall here, just a sort of a generic overview. I know her as, and again, I'm fully admitting if I'm ignorant that I don't know about her, I'm giving my opinion here based on what I know. She was thrust into the spotlight as this young girl who was crying, right? Because I think she was a girl. She was a child at the time, if I'm not mistaken. She was this girl who was crying and basically yelling at adults for ruining the planet, ruining Earth. And now she's, years later, she's this, global superstar, and the young, Jane Fonda, I guess, if you want to call it, right? Jane Fonda has her Fridays where she's, protesting and getting arrested. And so now Greta is doing sort of the same thing. Now, a few weeks ago, I guess it might even be a couple months ago, she was on The View, and as I do every once in a while, if I happen to be awake at the time, I chimed in. That's my job as an entertainment reporter, commentator, whatever. And I said something to the effect of, I don't understand the fascination about Greta. Which is right. I mean, that, and I even said that before. We had years ago, Scott Disick was on the radio with me, and I think I opened the segment by saying, I don't understand the fascination with the Kardashians. That's not a slam. That's me opening up and going, okay, I'm going to talk to this guy and he can enlighten me, right? That's when you say, I don't understand the fascination with Zoom meetings. I don't understand that's not me taking a shot at something. That's me just going and saying, I don't get it. All of these podcasts now that have video and whatever, is it necessary? I don't understand why a lot of people do video podcast. Why do I have to sit here and watch you in your parents' basement talking into a microphone? I don't know why I've got to see you. Different if we're on, a late night talk show, or it's Joe Rogan and, the cameras are switching back and forth and it's shot like an actual television show. Completely different. But again, if I can listen to, I don't need to, right? So that's what I'm saying is I don't understand fill in the blank. And so I don't understand the fascination with her because I don't think that she's really saying anything that hasn't been said before. She was applauded back in the day for standing up to adults and crying. I mean, that was her claim to fame, right? How dare you? I was listening to Dana Carvey. This is why it's at the forefront of my mind. I was listening to Dana Carvey on Bill Maher's podcast. And he did that impression. How dare you? He said, I can only do her in 3 words. How dare you? And he did that voice. That's where I'm not making fun of her. I'm imitating the voice that he did. And that's really, what we know. Now, here's the deal. Bill Maher, Dana Carvey, Jeremy Bradley, all grown-ass white men. But this is where it's a little bit different, though, because if you put yourself out there, you are on the platform, you are calling people out, you are criticizing, it is fair game. I don't care how old or young you are. If you are getting on the soapbox and being a mouthpiece and you're entitled to your opinion, why can't we, the public, the audience who's on the receiving end of it, why aren't we allowed to have our own opinions about what you are saying? And so this is where, when I tweeted about, on The View, I said, I don't understand the festival. All of a sudden, I'm slammed and bombarded by all those things I just said. White man, entitled white man. I didn't say anything about, I didn't say anything misogynistic. I didn't say anything derogatory about autistic people. I didn't say any, I did not, but that's the conclusion that people jump to. And I hate it because you're just grasping at straws. Same thing when I live tweet Bachelor and Bachelorette. I will, every season, whether it's the men compete, you got 30 men competing for the women, or sorry, for the woman, or 30 women competing for the man on Bachelor. I criticize all of them. I criticize the ditzy blonde, the Southern belle, the dumb jock football guy, the beauty pageant, the whoever. They're all, that's why you're going, you go on the show, expect the criticism. Now, does that make it right to do, personal attacks and making fun of them? Here's the deal, though, is that it kind of does, because you already know what you're in for. Stay off Twitter, then. Stay off Twitter if you don't want to see because really that's the whole thing, isn't it? Like, I don't know. And so what happens when I tweet, Bachelor and Bachelorette is that people will then go and say, oh, because the person happens to be a black woman, all of a sudden, Jeremy's race. Where did I say anything about it? The black thing, how did that come up? Like, she's a contestant. First and foremost, she's a contestant on the show, and that's what the comment is about. You're seeing it through that. You're actually the racist then, if you are interpreting my comment about a black woman. That's you putting racism on it. Now, of course, here's the deal: is that you can't fire back with that because now you are attacking a black. So it's very bizarre to me. Now, I don't even want to do that whole I have black friends thing because that's just so whatever, right? I mean, my brother's a caregiver and he brings, he has two people that he's brought to family functions. They were at Christmas a couple years ago, who are autistic. One has Asperger's, and they're wonderful people. I'm not saying anything about, I'm not even claiming that they're my friends because they're not. I have nothing against them. So when I make a comment about Greta, I'm not saying anything about her abilities, it's not disabilities, it's, I'm not making anything, but then for people to go and say that, now you're calling me, you're toxic masculinity, you're toxic, really? Just because I said I don't understand the fascination with her? So, I mean, I laugh at things like that, and I'm not one of those people who engages and will continue that fight on Twitter just because I've got better things to do with my time, but it's just so strange to me that, in today's world, I'm shut down by the mob, the social media mob, just because I was born a white man. And that's certainly not, I mean, if you want to take it one step further, especially me being an entrepreneur who had, I kind of had to do everything on my own. And the great thing was that this was all before social media and stuff like that. So nobody would have even seen me or known. I was trying to get, writing jobs in the newspaper and stuff like that. So a newspaper couldn't even Google Jeremy Bradley and see pictures and whatever. So nobody would have known that I was a white man. But I impressed people with how I wrote and my persistence, and I had, good business savvy, and that was how I ended up, turning things into what they became. So it's not a privileged white man. I didn't that, not at all. I went from, a prairie basement in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in my parents' house, slugging it out, trying to be a writer and a broadcaster. And it took a very long time because, again, we didn't have the benefits of social media, but certainly it's not privileged by any means, because do you know how many no's I heard before I heard yeses? Do you know that I needed to borrow $7 from my brother one time to buy a box of granola bars because I had no money and couldn't almost, pay for my house? I mean, there were a lot of things. So privilege, bitch, please. Bitch, please on the privilege thing, because that's where you can go and say, well, a well-off white man can afford the house because, but when he had to borrow $7 from his brother, like, where is the privilege in that? That's humiliation is what that is as an entrepreneur. So it's weird to me, these leaps that we have. So I can go and say, yes, I don't know anything about, I just know her as the climate change, gal. And that's about it. And then she yells at adults. And so when you have people like Bill Maher, Dana Carvey, all these different commentators who sort of try to challenge her or, question what she's saying, her messaging, her, I'm there with them. Now, again, like I said, full disclosure is the ignorance. If I wanted to, if I cared enough, certainly I could do. I know there's a documentary about her. There's all these different things. I also just don't have the interest because when I know that somebody like that, who is fine to yell at you, tell you what's wrong, demand change, whatever, but then when it's questioned, shuts down, because I've seen her sort of be followed by reporters and questioned, and she just sort of laughs things off and she doesn't give answers, then, how serious can I take you? Because you're not, I'm all open for debate and discussion, but if it's one-sided, well, that doesn't work then. How do you, how does that work? But again, because it's this whole thing right now where, you're the I don't know. I'm done. I've already taken up 10 minutes of this segment. But anyway, send me an email. Send me your thoughts live at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com. Back in a moment on The Scribble.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. I'm an English stickler, a language stickler, a grammar stickler, really just words in general, right? And here's the deal. As a trained journalist, I feel our English language has been bastardized by, it started with texting lingo. I guess it's carried on to social media, and now people just don't give a shit. And back in the day, when I started out writing in newspapers, well, basically when my journalism career began, we had something in Canada called the Canadian Press Style Book. There's two of them. One was called Caps and Spelling, and one was called the Style Book. Caps and Spelling, as a journalism student, to us was sort of like the Bible, and it was the authority. Authority is a strong word. It was the authority on how to write, and the book basically showed you. It was. It's hard to explain. It was like a dictionary, but it didn't have definitions. So it showed you the words and how they should be spelled or written, how they're capitalized, how they're hyphenated, how they're, And the Canadian Press sort of was the industry standard across the country for journalists and professional writing in general, but mostly for journalists. And so as word nerds, as we called ourselves, Bonnie Winters, she's not there, but Bonnie was an editor with me at a publishing company years ago. That's how we knew each other. And then about 16, 17 years ago, I left and I started this company and I stole her, and she's one of our executive producers. And we used to just wait. The Caps and Spelling book would come out every 2 years, I believe. I think they would alternate, because like I said, there were two books. Style Book would come out one year, and then I think Caps and Spelling would come out the next, and then they would alternate. Because that's also just how fast the words changed, right? Sometimes, we used to hyphenate the word email. We used to capitalize internet. We used to have, so that's an example of what would be in this book. Email, it would show E-MAIL. And so then when the new book would come out, you would be very excited to see what changes were made. And I remember there was this big scandal that, oh my God, they took the hyphen out of email, which was sort of, again, not a discussion really that anybody in any other workplace would have, but certainly in a newsroom or in a publishing office, that was hot news. That was something we, discussed for a long time. And so now it's fascinating to me when I see how, language has changed. We have all these shortcuts. And as a corporate writer many years ago, I was a corporate copywriter a long time ago for, Cabela's, for, several other national companies. And it was interesting to see other departments, right? Because I would be reviewing, catalog copy or whatever it was at the time. And it was always submitted by these different departments. And so to see how people think things are spelled, I always felt this superiority to them, just because I know that's not how you spell it. Come on now. And so now when I'm very fortunate that, yes, we have a workplace, like we've got an office setup, but it's not like there's no walking on eggshells. I'll call somebody a bitch and we'll have, arguments and go to our offices, and then like 20 minutes later, like nothing happened, and we insult each other. We have, dirty jokes. We say, I've gone and I've humped Bonnie's door frame when she was on a call one day. So we're a very inappropriate office. And here's the deal, is that you just have to have that professionalism or lack thereof, or that acceptance of it to work with us. And it's okay. So if we had any of these snowflakes come in, these 20-somes who have to have it all their way, they call the shots. I start better when I work at 9 a.m. and well, okay, then you're not going to fit in here. if you're offended by a joke, if you're offended by a bad word, or that a politically incorrect word, then we won't work with you, and you can go and complain and bitch, find somewhere else. We're not tolerant of your intolerance of it, because we're of that certain generation. We're all over. Tim, yeah, we're all over. Am I the youngest? We're all over 40 here. I'm sorry, I'm looking at people across the way in another room through the window. I'm okay. I am the youngest. I'm 40 years old. And so we're of that generation where it's like, you know what? We're not used to tiptoeing. We're not, and we won't do it. We just won't. And I've talked about that on this show before, where if we were hiring, which we're not, I mean, we're a solid team where we've all been together for at least, I think Susanna's probably the newest one, and she's been with us for about 6 or 7 years now. And, we just have this, it just works. And I've said to Bonnie, we had a very long call, and that's the thing, is that we also talk, on the weekends. We talk when we're not even working. Like that's how close of a group we are. And I remember saying to Bonnie, like, we just it wouldn't work to have somebody who's, 23 and just of that different mindset and work mentality. And she agreed, and she said that's exactly it. And so when I see these different stories about, I've talked about quiet quitting and, just different, I hate it. And I laugh because we don't have that kind of a corporate environment. We don't have employee reviews. We don't have an HR department. We don't have all that kind of stuff. We're just an office of people that we work together. We get the job done. We produce radio shows. We publish books. We write newspaper content. And, and we run, a coffee company and a men's swimwear line, and we just do stuff. We just do stuff, And so it's funny to read articles, because when you go online and you open up your web browser or whatever, and it'll show you news articles, right? Google or whatever will have the different picked articles for you to read. And there's a lot of them because we're in a business environment and I own a company. I'm assuming that's why I'm getting these different types of business articles. And so there was one that was, it's just on my screen here now. Is it time to quiet quit workplace buzzwords? And basically what it's saying is, you got those people who have corporate speak, right? They're just, especially salespeople. I've noticed that. And when we had radio sales, or back at the publishing company, we had magazine sales, you had these people, and I would just look at them and go, everything sounds like a pep rally. Like, everything sounds just so like, yeah, okay, we got to go get them now. Like, it's like, really? I don't know. And I've never been the type of employee that needs a pat on the head. That's why I've never liked working for other people. When I write something for a boss and I would submit it, and I would have the boss who doesn't have any experience in writing or any kind of knowledge about it would tell me, oh yeah, good article. Yeah. Oh, great. I never knew how to take that, because even if they would have said that it's bad, my attitude was always, well, what do you know? Fuck off. Like, you're not a writer, so how... And at the same time, how could they criticize it, right? You know what I mean? Like, how could they go... You brought me in to be the professional writer because I know my shit. And then you're going... Like, how are you going to give me a literary critique now at this point? Because you admittedly said in our interview that, when I was coming on board, that you don't know writing and we need somebody to do this, right? So that's where they've already pushed themselves into that corner of, well, we can't really criticize the writer because he's the expert and that's it. And so I've always liked being in that sort of power position. But so back to this buzzwords thing, like I want to know in your office if you have somebody who's like that. There was one. And this was, again, a very long time ago. I had to write, the sales team was doing, I don't know if it was a brochure or if it was like a one-page, like, sell sheet kind of a thing for their products. And the VP of sales, again, just this total... He used the word bolster over and over and over and over and over again. We're going to bolster sales, bolster this, bolster. And it always just felt like a monster truck rally. Like, it always just felt like, you know what I'm talking about, those commercials for the monster trucks, and it's going to bolster you. And from that point on, I've always just hated that word, because I would then go and I would take it out because I was like, it's overused a little bit. So I was negotiating. I'll leave it in the one time, but we'll take it out the rest of them. We'll use it with another word. Enhance. Heighten, elevate, like, just there's a whole bunch of other words rather than bolster over and over and over again. Again, that's why you have a writer. Don't send it to the writer if you don't want the writer's feedback. Now, this was also the same company that had put out this is why I don't work for people. They'd put out a press release. I don't recall what it was for, but the word was, now remember we've got Canadian spelling and American spelling. We were in Canada. The word centered, Canadian spell center, C-E-N-T-R-E, right? So when you're saying the word centered, it would be basically cent red, C-E-N-T, cent red, R-E-D. And so this company had, I think it was 10 or 11, it was 10 or 11 vice presidents. Point is, there were a lot of executives. A lot. Too many, if you ask the staff at that place. And so I was brought in to do PR. They were having their big corporate anniversary. It was a 50th anniversary. They brought me in to do, press release, bring media attention to the company, do all this stuff. I ended up hosting some podcasts for them to just, kind of do this PR blitz. So I write this press release, and I'm come up against 3 executives. And you'd think that a vice president at a company would have a little bit more important stuff to do with their time, right? Instead, and just the working with them as long as I had, I was kind of like, if you're coming to me with this first thing in the morning and you're coming from so-and-so's office or whatever it is and you're giving it to me, that means that you guys have been talking about this for a very long time. So the fact that they were questioning the word centered, and then they even sent to me links from American sources, Americans, with it spelled differently. And so going back to that Canadian Press, caps and spelling book, I can then take a picture of it and email it to them and say, this is the authority in Canada. This is how it's spelled. What ended up happening? Do you want to know what ended up happening was it went back and forth, even after I said and showed them the proof. Look at this is the Canadian Press. This book is actually from your office. This is the book that your company uses. And is what you have your style guide, you have the way things are written, you have the way things are spelled. You've adopted this book. It's showing you in this book how to spell it. So when I came on board and I said, do you follow Canadian Press style, blah, 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 you said, yes, you do. We have the book. Perfect. Great. Well, but then you don't then. And so what ended up happening, I'm not shitting you, is it went back and forth even more after I said, no, that's correct. It's fine. I could tell, it's going to come back to me in a few hours. I just know it. Sure enough, they ended up just saying, let's just change the word. Let's just change the word because we're not going to agree. And that was the frustration to me because I'm sitting here going, what was there to agree on? Like it's not a vote. There's no gray area. That's the way the word is spelled. So for me, that's what I said. The corporate environment, especially for something like that, which is very, very political, 97 vice presidents and all these people. If you know better than the professional writer, best-selling author, newspaper columnist, I've written everything. We wrote porn. I wrote a porn book years ago. A bestseller, by the way, I should point out. But, why bring me in then? If you all know you're these 6-figure vice presidents, blah, 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 then why did you need me? Why am I here? And so when it comes to this thing about, corporate slang and jargon, that's why I absolutely hate meetings, because you have these people who just have these buzzwords, because everybody's got something to prove in an office, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the salespeople, they need to, first of all, either motivate the team to get sales, and then they've got to, train them basically, right? You've got to motivate them, but you've also got to tell them how to get out there and do this, do that. And I've always hated that. But the word bolster sticks out of my mind because I was just like, I can't believe this guy is using it over and over and over again. And then when we had a meeting with him, and he would say that, we just need more. We need more of those impactful sales words. No, those are called buzzwords and people hate them. And here's an article actually now that proves it. I mean, we're many years gone by at this point, but anyway, what buzzwords do you hate in your office place? Wherever you work, or if it's even a school environment, there's got to be something that when you hear the term, you're just like, oh my God, shut up, I hate it. Send me an email live@jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley on The Scribble. Talk to you next time. Bye
Want
for
more
now.
Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.